Hello everyone, good afternoon. This is Quill at Curious Curio Conjurations in Medford, Wisconsin. So we are doing the Norse Rune of the Day lesson, and that is going to be centered around, originally it was only going to be one rune, but two runes popped up. And so those runes are Ansuz and Mannaz. So when I was doing the Rune Pull, my rune bag, my unicorn rune bag, very, very authentic to what our ancestors had. I'm joking. When I'm doing my rune pull, I'm first waking up my runes, putting my hand in and shaking the bag. And what comes into my hand is the first rune that I'm going to talk about. Okay. So that's kind of how I just do the rune pull. I just put my hands in there, shake the bag around. What's flying into my hand is what I'm going to determine to be the rune of the day. And in this case, these two runes came up. And so Ansuz, let's talk first about that. This rune is a symbol of the god Odin. Odin was the Norse, the All-Father, the leader, the high king of the gods of Asgard for a long, long time. And he was a god of battle. Although he was not at the front of the line, he was generally the one that was in the back strategically planning and calling the shots and stuff like that. If you're looking for more on the front of the battle line, probably Tyr, if you're familiar with the Norse god Tyr. Odin he was the one that originally got the runes by hanging upside down from the tree of life, Yggdrasil, for 9 days. And he got access. He literally sacrificed himself to get the runes. And so Ansuz is his rune. It is very much the higher calling, the higher power, your higher self. If you don't work with Odin, that's okay too. You could apply this to, like your higher self calling, whatever god you do work with. If you work with a god, your ancestors, whatever you think, some people say the universe, whatever is guiding you and directing you. And if you're atheist, if you don't believe in any of that stuff, which is totally valid and fine, you could look at this from a psychological perspective of what is in the present moment being put in front of you and how you rise to that occasion. What is in front of you that you are guiding yourself to get over, to get through, to learn something from. So you could apply this to basically anything. It doesn't matter what God you believe in or what spiritual system you work with or lack thereof. All of those are valid. So when we see Ansuz, it's that call that, hey, there's a challenge to rise to. There is this acknowledgement from the universe that, you're ready for this. You are ready for this, and we want to see what you can do. We want you to spread your wings and go. The other rune that I got is Mannaz. This is Mannaz. Now, I got this, it was kind of like this when they came out. Mannaz is the rune that means mankind, humanity. It doesn't get any more obvious than this. You. This is about you. When you see these two runes in conjunction with each other like this, when they're in this position, this is very much that God or higher power figure, whatever you want to call it, challenging or acknowledging the mankind portion of this dynamic. And so I know I'm not initiated in Haitian voodoo, and so I'm obviously not of the culture, but I've read a lot about it. And one of the interesting things is the idea of the Loa. Okay, the Loa is it's not a god. A Loa is kind of an intermediary between God and mankind, and they ride. Or if you've seen like the possession kind of, if you've ever seen videos of Haitian voodoo ceremonies, I have on YouTube. I physically attended one once. The people who are practicing in the ritual are invoking these Loas, and the Loas take over, and they are in the corporeal body. That's the belief, and obviously I can't prove it, but I find it fascinating because they call it riding the pony, so basically the human is being ridden by the god, and that human they go into an ecstatic state, and they are like kind of in union with that Loa, with that entity, that divine entity. And that is how, when this came out, that's the first thing that came to mind was this higher power. If we're looking at a divination, this universe, this higher power is just like calling out and saying, hey, I got something for you. I need you to kind of meet with me, kind of form a union, meet with me. And see what, like, here, listen to the things that I have to teach you. I'm going to give you a challenge. I'm going to see how you're going to rise up to it. Let's see what happens. Let's see what you do, kiddo. That's how you can read this. It's one interpretation. Some people read the runes completely different, and that's valid. The main idea of this is is when you're using runes or divination, is to kind of find ways that work for you. Okay, there are the historical ways of reading the runes, and they are totally valid. We don't have all that complete information about the runes. I mean, we have a very small portion of what the runes truly were to the Norse culture. And so I think sometimes we are given the opportunity to invent new ways of, that's why I said, the Norse, they did not have much to do with Haitian voodoo. There's not really a lot of major connection there that I'm aware of. But it's interesting that you could still apply that logic to the situation and divine in that manner. So earlier we were talking about asking the universe for a raise. This is truly rising to the challenge. This is this inspirational figure who is not going to do it for you. In my experience, if we're talking about gods, okay, or even if we're not talking about gods, maybe we're just talking about life itself. If you're in a situation where you're constantly being saved, awesome. I am extremely happy for you. That is, from what I have noticed, that is not reality for most people. Most people have to believe in themselves and pull themselves up because there is no one coming to save them. And I mean, again, I'm not bashing anyone who thinks this. If this is your experience and it functions for you, awesome. But in my experience, I've had to pull myself up by my bootstraps. That's just a term that I learned over the years, and work on projects. And one of the ways that I did that was facing my challenges, being like, okay, what can I do? And so again, here's the YouTube channel. I could fail miserably at this, but I'm putting myself out there. I'm going to keep making videos, and we'll see what happens. I'll learn something in the meantime about content creation. That's the worst that's going to happen out of this. If I fail, I fail. So that's me asking the universe for a raise. That's me interpreting that from the runes. So thank you again for watching. I really appreciate it. And if you guys have any comments or questions, please feel free to reach out. Go ahead and check out my Facebook page at Curious Curio Conjurations, or message me on Facebook, Kim Frank. You'll find me there, my picture. And thank you so much for the opportunity to teach you something about the Norse runes and divination. And you have an excellent day.